Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We are going to give everyone just another minute or two to get started and join us. So feel free to say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from, what you do, an emoji, anything you want to share today. We'll, like I said, give another minute or two for everyone to join, and then we will get started. Oh, thank you all so much for starting in the chat. I love that. Hello, hello to everyone that has said hi. Looks like we have teachers from all over. That's amazing. I love it. All right, and we've got some people, not even teachers, joining us. So that's even better. Okay, well, you are here for the Careers of the Future webinar hosted by UBTECH Education. If you'd like to connect with us, there is our email address you can reach out to. You can find us on all the social media platforms at UBTECH.edu, and you can go to our website, ubtecheducation.com. Now, I did today in the top of the chat, hopefully you can see a link that goes to a whole page of resources for today's webinar. I also put in a PDF version of the same page. So if you do not see that, please let me know. I'm never sure if that pops up when you guys aren't on here yet or not. So let me know if you see it. Hello, everyone. Ooh, Hawaii, Maryland, Oklahoma, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania. I love it. I'm coming to you guys from Illinois today. So that's exciting. It's still nice and warm here. Okay, Simone, thank you for letting me know you cannot see the links. Let me go ahead and add those back in before we go any further. So the first link I'm going to share is a Google Doc of the same PDF. So whether you want to do the PDF version or the Google Doc version. So it's just all of the links to all of the resources I'm going to talk about today, all of the articles, there's videos, there's even links in there that I'm not going to talk about, but I thought were good while I was doing my research. So there's that. Let me get the PDF here real quick. There we go. All right, so there's the PDF version, or if you want to go ahead and use the Google Doc version, totally up to you. It'll go in the order, I hope, if I did it correctly, in the order of how I'm presenting today. One more thing before I introduce myself. Notes, this webinar will be recorded. You will receive an email following this event that includes the recording or a link to the recording along with a survey. So if you miss anything today or you want to go back through anything, just know you will get a copy of this, okay? So who are we? If you've joined any of our webinars so far this year, Rusty and I have been presenting all of them. My name is Kristina Davis. I'm an instructional design manager, former elementary teacher, now with UBTECH Education. So you can email me, you can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, however, I'll follow you back. I share as many educational things as I can find that I think are great and relevant. I kept Rusty's information on here. You'll notice he's not with us today. He is on a well-deserved vacation with his family, but I kept him on here because just in case if you were at one of our previous webinars or maybe last month's webinar in UCode and you had some questions, he's our product guru. He does our professional development, our workshops. So I wanted his contact information up here as well, just in case you want to reach out to him. So please reach out, say hi, give us a follow, you know, whatever. We're here. So, okay, our agenda for today, careers of the future is kind of a vague topic to discuss, and there's so much to go with it. So first of all, I'm going to give you 2 slides about UBTECH, just in case you don't know who we are or what we do. And then the bulk of our time is going to be spent on the topic, which is careers of the future. So we're going to talk about why do we need to talk about this with students? What do we need to talk about with students? How do we need to get them prepared for the careers? And finally, 1 slide on how UBTECH can help you with that. So do know that the bulk of today's webinar is going to be on research that I found, articles, videos that I found regarding careers of the future and where we go from here as teachers, right? And how You get students excited for this, excited thinking about their career, even at a young age. So that's what the bulk of today is going to be about. Then we're going to do a Q&A as always. So as questions come up, please put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A portion. However you want to do that, please talk to me during this. It's really lonely being the only one here. So feel free, shoot some questions out. I'll answer those at the end. And then I'll show you a couple upcoming webinars. We have one next month, but there's also another one that we are involved in that I want to share with you. So please stick around for that. All right, so just to make sure if you've just now joined us, we've got a PDF in the chat. We've got a Google Doc link. You're welcome to look at either one that includes resources from today. Okay, all right, so who is UBTECH? I'm not going to read all this stuff to you. You can read it if you want, but know that we are a robotics company, right? So it's robotics first to be used out in the world. So we've got humanoid robots. We've got robots that utilize AI. We've got industry robots that you can see out in shopping malls or airports or hospitals and all sorts of things. So first and foremost, a robotics company. And then secondly, UBTECH Education is a division of UBTECH Robotics. So we are a division, so they still create our robots. We are now trying to get our robots into the classroom, right? Because we want students to be exposed to all the things that go with robotics and coding and programming and AI and all of that. So our job at UBTECH Education is to give students that strong foundation to help them grow, right, as people and make them well-rounded, but also to be interactive and engaging in the world, because robotics and AI and all of this stuff is everywhere now, right? It's a part of our daily lives, which is something we're going to talk about here shortly. So with the topic, careers of the future, in the chat, if you're okay with sharing, if you want to just share it with me and not with everyone, that's fine too. I want to know what you wanted to be when you grew up. So when you were a kid, what was a job or some of the jobs or careers that you considered when you were thinking of all that? So, and I'll read them out loud just in case you're not following along in the chat. So we've got, yes, center fielder for the Yankees. All right, a teacher, right? So far, both careers, right, are careers that you see, that you are exposed to, right? All kids see teachers. If you like sports, you see sports players, professional skateboarder, artist, fireman, right? Some of those you can see on the screen right now, right? Fireman. I was just thinking, I don't know what the one on the right is. Maybe hospitality. We got construction, doctor, ooh, dancer, yes, actor, fantastic. Okay, so no one as a student thought about like chemical engineering or computer programming or petroleum engineering, right? So there are a lot of jobs out there that students don't see, therefore they don't think about it, right? We need to make sure we are opening up our classrooms and our discussions to include things kids might not otherwise be exposed to. So I grew up in a small farming community. And so obviously, right, I saw farming, I saw teachers, nurses, police, firemen, those things that are in a small rural town. But, you know, I had the luxury, I guess, of being exposed to aunts and uncles and family members that were in different states. And I got to hang out with cousins in different states. And so I got to see things that were happening in those communities. And I was able to travel in that sense and see things outside of my bubble. But I want you to keep in mind that we can't assume now that students are getting this stuff from home, right? That they're seeing things from home. So we need to bring more things in the classroom, more things that they can see and touch and interact with and discuss that maybe if they don't get to travel, right? Maybe if they're just in their little town, we want them to know there are things out there, there are careers out there, there are just more experiences out there, right, in this area. So let's talk some facts and some things that are out there at the moment. So careers of today. So this was from an article published by Abigail Johnson Hess. So this is the third link on the resource. So I have the UBTECH website, then the email, and then now it's college graduate starting salaries are at an all-time high. So in the article, Abigail wrote, the average starting salary for the college class of 2020 was $55,260. For those that are teachers on here, I'm sorry. My starting wage in 2007 was less than half of that as a teacher, so I feel for you. but good for our kids, right, that are growing up that will have higher starting salaries. She also wrote that the public policy group Third Way found that STEM degrees provide some of the highest return on investment for graduates, right? And you can see that on the right. So those are the top 10 or the 10 majors, excuse me, that earn the most. And so you can see common thread there. There's engineering, there's computers are listed in several of those majors. Math is in there, right? Science is in there. So STEM, those are all STEM majors, okay? All right, so I want you to think, or if you want to put in the chat, that'd be great. How many of you thought about any of these careers over to the right at any point in time? And if you didn't think of those careers while you were growing up, why do you think that is? Why did you not ever think, hey, I want to be a chemical engineer, or I want to be in research, or I want to be in computer science? Yes, Lori, yes. Never thought those were possible for girls, right? We have people in our lives, whether it's family members or community members or people we see on a daily basis, friends and whatnot, that are, what's a nice way to put them? Like dream quashers, right? They are like, nah, that's a little high. You know, I don't know if you can do that. Your skill set might not be there. You might be better suited for this. You might want to consider this, right? We need to not do that. We need to push for sky's the limit, right? You can do whatever you put your mind to. You can learn the skills needed to do any job if it interests you enough, right? That's what kids get excited about, things that interest them. So we need to make sure that we are just broadening horizons, right? Here's what's out there. Here's what's going on. Have some discussions, even at a young age. So one of the questions there at the bottom, did all the jobs exist when you were a kid? Probably not, right? So I was born in the 80s. And so we had, you know, the internet and computers coming up while I was in elementary school. And I remember like the big day where we got to have like internet pen pals, and it was the coolest thing. But I mean, that was the beginning of all of that. So had we not had computers in school, I wouldn't have thought of computer programming. It wasn't a thing, right? So just being presented to it or having the option open of, hey, this is a job and this is something that people do. And, oh, you like computers? Here are some options for you, right? Okay, another little fun thing to look at. By 2025, new jobs will emerge and others obviously are going to be automated and displaced. So I'm going to give you a moment just to look at this. Look at the ones at the top with the 97 million and the decreasing job demand for the 85 million jobs listed at the bottom. All right, so what do the growing job demand jobs have in common? It's a lot of technology, right? It's a lot of computers, AI, data, machine learning, all sorts of stuff, right? Digital marketing is still social media and working with technology. So as technology grows and technology goes up, we need people to fill jobs that deal with that, right? Decreasing job demand, you will notice, right, are a lot of things that can be audited now. Data entry clerk, you can write algorithms and programs to do that. Computers can enter data for you and do that. We've got assembly and factory workers. A lot of that has been replaced, right, by automation. So just some of that stuff, while still around, right, we still have factories, we still have those types of positions. It's changed, right? So not only do the students need to come out of school with a different skill set, but workers in the workforce need to constantly be working on their skill set, right? So if you were a factory worker that did everything by hand, you might no longer do that. You might now work with some sort of automated robot or computer that assists you in some way. So now you had to learn the skills to work with that technology, right? So while you're still in the same factory or the same type of position, now you've had to adopt technology and work with technology to complete your tasks and your job, right? So there's still upskilling. You still need to continue to learn. I don't know any position that is stagnant and doesn't, like, no longer needs to learn any new skill to keep doing what they're doing, right? So keep that in mind. We need to try to encourage our students to be lifelong learners and to be interested and want to do this on their own as opposed to being told, right? Because we all know how fun that is to be told what to do. And I guess I feel that way this year. I got a new phone, right? And I kept putting it off because I'm like, I don't want to program a new phone. I don't want to get it ready to go. Like, I like my phone as it is, but hello technology, we have to adjust, and new things come out every year. And so it's fine, but it's hard, right? It's hard to do that. And it's hard to change, and it's hard to be open to change all the time. So making sure our students are ready as well-rounded human beings to embrace all of this change. And they probably will be more so than us, right? Because they're growing up in all of this technology with it all the time. Okay, so now let's talk about the why. Why do we need students to think about their future and possible career options? Why do we need them at a young age to understand different skill sets and to be open to learning different things and to the lifelong learning? Here is why. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. I'll show you a graphic for that here in a moment if you are not familiar with that, but it is the digital revolution. So right now, our everyday life is focused on smart technology. We're focused on artificial intelligence. We're focused on robotics. Everything is changing. Everything is up and coming. Everything is new and scary sometimes. But it's not only transforming how we work, right? If you're any of those people that have had to embrace all of that, but it's also our daily lives. You're on Zoom right now, right? Hello, the pandemic and all of this fun technology we've had to embrace. But also, do you have an Alexa at home that you talk to? Do you get recommendations on Spotify or on Netflix on what to watch? Do you let technology dictate your life, right? Like, I don't know what I'm going to watch today. I'll just let Netflix pick whatever it wants, right? So it's all around us, and kids are used to it, and they embrace it. So we need to make sure that they are prepared to use all of these things when they get out of school. Francis James from QS.com wrote, research by McKinsey Digital revealed that due to the fourth industrial revolution, 60% of all occupations could potentially have at least a third of their activities automated. So that goes with that upskilling. If a student wants to learn a trade or a job that is more hands-on, fantastic. They're at some point going to have to embrace the technology and the automation that's going to come with that, okay? All right, so here's a graphic. If you've never seen it before, we use it in our AI webinars as well. It's a great one. You can just Google fourth industrial revolution. It's one of the ones that comes up. So you can see the first industrial revolution, the huge technological advance, was steam engineering. Then we moved to assembly line, then computers, internet, nuclear energy, that kind of thing. And then now we are just, how do we make all those things talk and work together, right? With the computing and the internet, now we can do so much more. So mobile devices, we talked about, Internet of Things, GPS, all of this stuff is a big deal. It's huge, and it's advancing everything we do. Here is an easier graphic to take in, or timeline, I guess, if this is something that talks to you. So this one calls the fourth industrial revolution the cyber physical system. So meaning all of the robotics and the systems and the internet, everything's talking and working together, talking to each other, right? Wi-Fi and all of that, Bluetooth, and fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to talk STEM, right? So a lot of you, I saw in the registrations, a lot of you are STEM related. You're in STEM somehow. And I think, at least when I was still teaching, there's, I don't know if stigma is the right word, right? But there's an air about STEM, right? That you have to have special training. Special training is great. I'm not saying don't do that. But I'm saying that even just a regular classroom teacher, elementary teacher, middle school teacher, if you're teaching not in one of those areas, right? Maybe you're teaching language arts, you can still incorporate STEM. I'm going to help you, hopefully give you at least one idea of something that you can do to incorporate STEM into your classroom. And it's not just science, tech, engineering, math, right? It's a mindset, it's a process, it's a thinking skills, it's all sorts of different things that you could put into your classroom that will help push students to have this STEM mindset as they move forward. Okay, So 5 reasons why STEM education is important in 2021. This was by the UBTECH Academy. So it's down there a couple ways. I'm trying to find it. Oh, there we go. 5 reasons why STEM education. There you go. It's on the resource. So if you want to click and read all of it, I'm going to give you the 5 reasons, and I'm going to give you one little point that stuck out to me for each one. So STEM jobs are the future of our economy. So many things include science, tech, engineering, math, all of it together. It's not separated anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we need to, STEM is not an extra class. It's not an after school program. It needs to be included and blended and woven throughout the day, right? So employment in STEM occupations is projected to grow 8.8% by 2028, when non-STEM occupations are only going to grow 5%. So that's something to keep in mind. STEM STEM teaches critical thinking and innovation. So this is what I'm talking about. STEM, the idea of STEM and doing projects and hands-on activities that include the different topics of STEM helps students focus on thought processes. They work on problem solving, they work together, right? There's so much that goes into the group work that's involved in a lot of STEM projects and STEM curriculum that can be carried over. Okay, STEM classes provide unique opportunities for teamwork. Teamwork is super underrated. I think we could have a bigger focus on teamwork. I know students get that when they play sports and when they're in different activities, but why not also in the classroom? It doesn't need to be an individual thing. I know it's hard right now with the pandemic. It's hard if you're doing virtual. It's extra hard if you're doing hybrid. God bless all of you that are doing hybrid. I can't imagine having students in the classroom and out of the classroom at the same time. But how can we get them to work together? Okay. Number 4, a STEM curriculum helps students develop project management skills. Holy cow, so important. So when I was teaching and coaching, it baffled me, I guess, just because I'm one of those people, right? I love color coding, I love calendars, I love planners. I am one of those people. But I struggled with those students who were just willy-nilly throwing things out. Well, I guess this is my math assignment. Let me find it in the back of this book that's not my math, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to teach organizational skills and planning and time management. And you can't assume students get any of this from home anymore, which is, I guess, sad, but also, you know, I just think, okay, so I'll just give you a little memory from back in the day. So I remember back in the day, I had a student, very unorganized. He was the sweetest kid, so unorganized. And I tried, I worked really hard, and we tried to organize his day, right? They had planners because he was in a STEM academy that had all of this. I mean, they had so many resources. It was fantastic. And so we would try to schedule his day, and every teacher did this with him, right? Because he switched classes. And I just kept thinking, I don't know if it's ever going to click. And then I met his mom, right, at parent teacher conferences, and they are the same person. And I went, yes, you can't assume then that the guardians or the parents or the adults that are around the student are teaching them these skills, because they might have the same personality. They might have the same areas of weakness or areas of strength. And so helping mom get organized then help the student get organized, right? So yeah, just anyways, keep that in mind. I guess there's my little story for the day. All right, number 5, recent events have only made technology skills more important, right? So after this pandemic is over, which we all hope it ends at some point, right? A lot of the stuff we brought in during the pandemic will probably stick around. So there might be less in-person conference call or meetings, I guess, not conference calls, and more conference calls, more Zoom, more connecting in various ways, video or just phone anymore. So just keep that in mind. Your students have gained so many new technology skills, I'm sure, and organizational skills, right, as they're trying to manage all their classes and all the teachers. So that's only going to help them. So help embrace that, help encourage that, help teach them more of it if they're struggling, you know. Okay, so STEM holds the key to preparing students for the jobs of the future, right? STEM can get the students there. So in this article that is listed on the resources as well, Three things that stuck out to me. Experts believe that more, better, and earlier STEM education could reduce the rate of STEM attrition, so resulting in more STEM graduates. So we're right, STEM's been the big push. Even when I was teaching 10 years ago, it's the push. We want all the kids in STEM. We want them to be in STEM careers, and we want them to carry on with STEM throughout their lives. And that's not necessarily happening. There's some gaps somewhere. So either the kids are getting it a lot in primary, and then they go to secondary and it's not as much, and then they get to college and they don't feel prepared, or maybe they start a STEM program in college or a STEM career and they find out maybe that's not really what they want to do, which is fine. But a lot of it, as I read through my resources today and yesterday, are that they just aren't prepared with, I guess, more so life skills that could help carry them through, as opposed to, do they have all the science background, all the tech, all the engineering, all the math? Yes, all of that is important. Yes, students need all of that. But my husband and I had this discussion the other day. So he's active duty Air Force, 19 years. And he always reminds me that there are so many skills needed, but a lot of those can be taught on the job, right? So when he brings new troops in, a lot of the stuff they do for civil engineering, he can teach them there, but he needs them to be good humans and well-rounded people that can manage themselves, can manage their life. They can be on time. They can manage their schedules. You know, like some of these things, as students are doing projects together and they're having to work together, those are the skills that are going to help them move forward. Okay, so to maintain its position as a world leader, the US really needs to have at least 1 million more STEM professionals over the next decade, which is just mind-blowing, right? 1 million. And then by focusing on complex real-world problems and challenges, students are challenged to take initiative and use creativity, to develop solutions. What sticks with me a lot with creativity and the word creativity is that most people attribute that to art, and that's not necessarily, it shouldn't always be the correlation. Creativity can be creativity in your thinking, and creativity and how you approach a project and how you think about a project. I remember I was doing a workshop one day and I was doing things along with the teachers, and I don't even remember what I did. I like put a piece of equipment away, and one of them went, "That's not the way I would have done that." And I went, "Oh," and they said, "Why did you do it that way?" And so I explained whatever my reasoning was at the time for why I did that. And they were like, "I would never have thought of that. I had no idea." So just even when you're having discussions with your students, or you're showing your students something, explaining your reasoning, this is why I did it this way, or this is what I'm thinking as we come to this problem, or this is how I would solve this problem. I know as an elementary teacher, I struggled, right? You don't want to give kids the final product. You don't want to show it to them because I don't want the kid to just copy what I did, but to talk them through my thought process and what I thought about as I did this, or why I'm going to approach it this way, helps them realize, right, that there's more than one way to do this stuff, and it doesn't have to be one way. Okay, so another article, and then I promise we're going to get to some more graphics and such, but STEM education for future career growth is more essential than ever in the 2020s. Okay, so the connection between STEM and social emotional learning, you guys, how important is that right now with kids all over the place? You might have a student in your class right now that's not even in the country, but is zooming in, and how heartbreaking is that they can't be together, right? So STEM curriculum helps with this, that it helps with developing SEL skills, it helps with applying the skills, because you're working with people, right? You're working with teammates. You have to manage your emotions. You can't just get upset, throw everything away and call it good, right? You as a team have to accomplish a task. So you work to achieve goals. You work on relationships, positive relationships. You work on problem solving abilities, real life situations, which I know we saw real life things in another slide. I'll talk about this a little bit later too, but I want to emphasize that it's so important to not just give the students a prompt or a challenge that is unrealistic for their life, right? You don't want all the challenges to be like, so if you were to go to space and you needed to collect data from space, what kind of vehicle would you create? Well, kids have they've never been to space. They don't know, give them something that is relevant to what they're doing. So maybe If you have a spot outside and by the playground or outside the school where you're like, we want to build a community garden. What are things that could grow in our area? What are plants that we could grow that would produce vegetables or food, or, you know, like try to make it something that they can go see or go touch or go look at, or that they've been exposed to. Okay, so real life situations is huge with STEM, right? Don't just make it a make-believe prompt. Make STEM a part of the school day. Okay, so right now, right, and I know this was written for 2020, where it says STEM curriculum with the computer science emphasis will be integrated into the school day more in 2020. Hello, yes, we talked about all this with the pandemic and Zoom and whatnot. I know, and from who I've talked to, teachers and whatnot, it's hard, right? It's hard to do the hands-on if you're not in the physical space with the students. Try to give them anything that they can do, that they can touch and be active and move with, right? That a lot of students, I struggle with this. I can't just watch a video and listen to somebody talk and be like, okay, well, yep, I understand what they said. I need that interaction. I need to physically manipulate something in order for it to stick with me. And I need to make those connections. I need help sometimes, right? Being reminded, hey, you could apply this in the same way that you applied this. Or I always think, I can't remember the training, you guys. There was a training back when I taught that talked about how in your brain, right, there are filing cabinets, and in every filing cabinet, there's a folder, and every folder, there's all the stuff you know about that topic. And so sometimes I have to be reminded, like, oh, you did learn about this back then, and this is how it connects to what you're doing now, right? So making those connections for students and talking about that could certainly help them for any part of the day, right? If you're like, well, back when we were doing this project, you did this math concept, right? We measured the distance for something, and now we're going to measure this distance. And so making that connection for them. Educators and administrators' perspective of STEM in 2020 is that it's going to help introduce students to foundational computer science skills, as well as reinforce SEL competencies, right? Along with math, language arts, anything else you can tie into that. All right, so now that we've talked about STEM, we've talked about future careers, how do we prepare students for their future and these careers without specifically preparing them for one certain option, right? We're trying to hit everything. We're trying to make it a broad area, but we want them to be successful in whatever they choose. Okay, so we need to teach skills that can carry over into daily life and a variety of disciplines, okay? So we've talked about some of that. This is from this Francis James of QS.com. It is back up Everything You Need to Know About Education 4.0 is the name of the article in the resources. But so it says by 2020, which was last year, right? We're in 2021. So more than a third of the desired core skill sets of most occupations will be comprised of skills that are not yet considered crucial. I'm going to show you some graphics where there might be some skills that you wouldn't have thought of being as top skills that employers are looking for. But like I mentioned with my husband earlier, he just wants good, solid humans, right? That can manage themselves. They can work well with others. I mean, it's a lot of soft skills, you guys. It's a lot of, can you just function, right? And take care of yourself, and then learn the job specific skills while you're there. Now, that doesn't work for everything, right? You need some job specific skills going into certain jobs, and we'll talk about that. And then the bottom part of that article, I really like the fact that they talked about project-based learning and how it highlights all of the wide set of skills, right? Students learn so much doing project-based learning, hands-on learning, team learning, working in groups. They're going to get a lot out of that. Okay, so this is a nice graphic of the 4 areas, right, of skills. So thinking skills, personal skills, job-specific skills, digital skills. I really like this graphic, and it's linked in the resource as the automate this. Okay, so it's in there. This is by Third Way, which I know I mentioned earlier. This is, the skills are in the boxes. So what they are is the title, and then who could teach them? So who really could work on this kind of stuff? You'll notice if you're a K-12 teacher, you're not listed under job specific skills for the most part, K-8 really, right? High school job programs could teach some of the job specific skills. I know there are specific STEM academies, there are career pathway schools, right, that have focuses, whether it's medical or health or computer science or whatnot. So once students get to high school, they might have those opportunities. I didn't in high school. We didn't have any really job specific unless you went into, I guess, ag and FFA, right? Those kind of led you down a path. But for the most part, it was just the broad general topics, right? The general subjects. And so if you have the option to allow students to take even an online course or something, right, in something that interests them, that could lead them to a career and give them job specific skills, that would be great. But so personal skills, right? We do this all the time, you guys. Communication, teamwork, motivation, management, adaptability, all of these things come when you're doing group work. It comes when you're working as a team. So you can build that into so many different activities, not just STEM related, right? You can build that throughout your day. Motivation is a hard one, right? I find some days it's super hard to be motivated, and I just have to remind myself or give myself little treats like, hey, if you finish this in the next hour, you can go walk the dog or something, right? So finding ways for kids to motivate themselves is huge. For thinking skills, so critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, organization was one, right, that we talked about. So helping students understand how you're coming up to a problem, how you're solving that problem, talking them through it so they can gain more insight, more skills on how they could also solve it. Organization, I know as teachers, right, most of us are super organized, and like I said, color-coded calendars, planners, stickers, I love all that stuff. But you need to help the students find what works for them. So maybe sticky notes in the notebook is what works, or maybe having a planner that lists the pages or something, right? You've got to help them learn to manage themselves and organize themselves. And then the other one that really anybody could start teaching is digital skills, which we know students have gained a ton of digital skills in the last year and a half, but helping them not only with the things that are on their basic digital literacy, workplace technologies, online learning, but then like social media, right? You can work with them on social media. What are good things to post? What are things you might want to think about twice, right? Posting. Because we get behind that piece of technology, right? And we're like, oh, they can't see me. I can say whatever I want, right? We need to quit. We need to quit that mindset. We need to be cognizant of how this is coming across, how people are going to view it. But not only that, resources. How do you know it's a good resource? How do you know what you're reading in that resource is true? So helping students understand all of those things in whatever various ways. Maybe you're a history or social sciences teacher and you're researching a topic. Help the students, show them some resources, and then have them pick the one that's not the best resource to use, right? And talk through that. Okay, a couple other things here. So critical thinking, if you're not familiar with it, or on the side, 9 thinking behaviors kind of goes together. It's really questioning, right? Less yes or no, yes, multiple, or less, excuse me, oh my goodness, it's definitely the end of my day here. Less multiple choice, more thinking questions. Who benefits from this? How does this relate to the problem? Of all the options I have in front of me, which one would be the best and why? How can I test this? Is it acceptable? Is it not acceptable? Can I be more specific? Can I give more details? So trying as best you can to utilize any sort of questions that make students think about what they're doing and why, and to give you a reason. So I will say I'm very proud of our curriculum, and I'll talk about it later on a slide, that we utilize a lot of this. We have students come up with ways to test their robots, and then is that the best test? Is there a different way we could test? Is the data you collected the right data for what you were testing? Does it really, is it the best way to go about it? Is there another way? So just really trying to be more open with your questioning, and having students come up with the questions too, right? Having them ask and inquire, and you want these things. You don't want them to just yes or no, true or false. It's the color red, the sky is blue, right? Less of that. Okay, so the World Economic Forum has a ton of stuff if you guys are ever interested on future of jobs. This is from the Future of Jobs Report 2020, but you can look up so many things there. These are the top 10 skills of 2025. And I want you to take a look at those for just a moment. Okay, so you will see on the bottom left, there's a little key for the type of skill, right? So problem solving, blue skills, self-management, green, working with people is tan, gold, and technology use and development. You will notice that none of those are job specific, right? They're all very self skills, right? Things that I can learn by my, not by myself, let me take that back. Things that I can learn to make myself a better, more well-rounded person, that I can be an active learner, I can be a critical thinker, I can be creative, I can try to be original. I know that's hard when we have so much stuff coming at us all the time. I can be a good leader, I can be a good social influencer. So these skills, even if you don't go down the list of top 10, even if you're like, nope, I can't focus on problem solving or complex problems, I can't work on technology with my students, maybe just the type of skills. Can you work with your students on working with people? Can you work with them on self-management, which goes with SEL and emotions and all of that, right? Can you work on stress tolerance and, hey, we're coming up to this problem. I know you're getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated, talking them through that. This is what frustrates me. This is how I'm going to get through this frustration. Okay. Just all of this, just life skills, right? We need to focus on life skills. Okay. We're going to go through this quickly because we're about 20 minutes left here and I want to get to some other things. So this article is in there. You can find it and read the whole thing. It's fantastic. There's a lot of things in here. So 8 things every school must do, take it or leave it, to prepare for the 4th industrial revolution. So if there are any of these things where you're like, yes, our school should focus on that, or I should focus on that in the classroom. So redefining the purpose of education, right? Just like we've been saying, they need to have the mindset that anything, right? They can do anything if they put their mind to it, right? As it goes, but that they're not locked in. They don't have to be a farmer because their dad was a farmer, right? Or they don't have to go into fast food because their parents were in fast food, like whatever the case may be. They need to know that there are more options out there and more things available to them. Woo! Got a little excited there. Improve STEM education. So we need, like I said, not so much to focus on the science, tech, engineering, math all the time. Not all the projects have to include all those things. That doesn't have to be the main focus of the activity, but getting those critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, getting those 4 C's in there, getting soft skills in there. How can they work together? How can students create something together? That's just as important as the STEM portion. Develop human potential. I really liked this, right? We need students and people and humans to be more adept at critical thinking, at social interaction, physical dexterity, just being able to, walk across the workshop and go get something, for some people, not an option. So we need to make sure that the well-rounded humans we are creating in schools can do things. They are capable. They can try new things. Okay, adapt to lifelong learning models. We talked about this, right? We talked about how the jobs we're preparing kids for don't exist yet. We might not know them. The ones on those lists, right? When you were a kid, you'd never thought about being a petroleum engineer unless your dad was a petroleum engineer, or your mom, right? Unless you knew about it, you probably didn't think of those jobs. And so in this article, they talk about how 85% of the jobs in 2030 don't exist yet. Isn't that slightly frightening? Just a little bit scary. But that's why we need to stick to, sorry, I got distracted by Brad's comment, which is so true, right? Not much of this appears on standardized multiple guess tests. And how frustrating, right? To try to teach all of these skills and then have it not tested. So let me think on that. I don't know that I have much advice other than to keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully at some point we can revamp, right, the standardized test and how students are being tested for schools. All right, alter education, educator training. Teachers will become guides to help students facilitate their own learning and lines of inquiry. I think maybe if I understood the teachers I spoke to correctly, that's kind of changed, right? With the pandemic, students have had to work more on their own learning, right? As opposed to being in the classroom. just soaking it in, right? Teachers are going to have to work on making things more student-led, being the facilitator, offering the opportunities to the students, engaging them, helping them explore, but essentially just letting them figure it out on their own, right? Which I know is scary. It's scary as a teacher. I was elementary, like I said, so, you know, we had to teach all the subjects and everything together. But if you're like a language arts teacher per se, not that there's anything against language arts teachers, but if that's your focus, it's going to be really hard for you to be open to teaching a STEM class. We'll say that, a STEM class, because you might not know everything about it. And that's okay. It's okay to have the kids help you figure it out. It's okay to not know the answer. It's okay for students to teach you things, right? It's okay. I can't tell you how many classrooms I went to that I visited in my last position where teachers were overwhelmed because obviously they had purchased a new curriculum through us. They had learned something new, right? And they were frustrated because they didn't know all the answers. It's okay. Just know it's okay. The kids are human. You are human. It's okay to tell them you don't know. It's okay to look it up together. It's okay to, it's just okay. It's okay to not know everything, okay? Make schools maker spaces, not make a maker space in the school. Make the schools a place where students can be creators. They can do hands-on in every room. They have all sorts of physical and digital things to mess with and play with and learn from. Don't let it be a little silo in the library or an after-school situation. Make it more every day. Okay, international mindfulness. This is huge this year as well. We can't just be in our little bubbles. We can't be in our little towns anymore. That's not how it works. We've got to broaden their horizons, show them what it's like for kids in Italy, or be pen pals with kids in China. Just help them see how things are different all over the world, and to just have that mindset that just because I do it this way or this is how I taught is not how everyone does it. Change higher education, which I know a lot of you might not have any say in, but if we get students that are more adept at these skills, these lifelong learning skills, thinking skills, personal skills, if we make them better people early on, right? The schools higher up, right? So colleges, trade schools, whatnot, are going to have better foundations to work with. And then hopefully they can make some changes in their world. Okay, so how do we get students to start thinking about this stuff? You don't want to like throw into kindergarten the first day, like, hey, by the way, we're talking about careers today. What do you want to be when you grow up? You have to decide right now, right? We want them to be open. So just some things, if nothing else, take away an idea of what can you do in your classroom or with your kids or with whoever you see. Books, stories, videos, TV shows, movies, anything that shows different careers. If you're teaching about the rainforest, what are careers for people that work with a rainforest, right? There's scientists, there's construction. I know that's kind of sad, right? Where you're talking about tearing down the rainforest, but what are jobs that interact with the rainforest, right? You can tie that in somehow, or maybe you're learning about animals and you can talk about the zoo and vets and all sorts of different things. Interviews, have kids interview people, have them interview people at the school, have them interview their parents. Like, what do you like about your job? What do you do in your job? What are things you wanted to be as a kid? You know, just exposing them to stuff. If they're at the library, ask the librarian what they like and don't like about their job, or if they could pick a different job, what would they do? You know, just get them talking to other people. Have guest speakers come in, not only parents, right? We're really good about bringing parents in if we have some parents that are willing to share, but try to get, if you're learning about the zoo and you have a zoo close by, try to get someone from the zoo to come in and talk to your kids. Try to get the principal to come in and talk to your kids about different jobs. Try to get the janitor or the cooks, anyone you can find. Maybe it's like one day a month where you have a guest speaker come in, or you try to tie it into a topic you just learned about. Something, there's somewhere, and now you don't even have to be physical, right? You could have a Zoom presentation. You could have a guest speaker via Zoom. Maybe you can find like one of the Irwin family members in Australia to talk to you about animals in the zoo, right? Like, how cool would that be to have a guest speaker like that? Field trips, obviously, if you can take the kids anywhere, that's fantastic. But if not, there's so many virtual field trips now where they can see and do things and talk to people. But Field trips, if you're talking about it and you can take them there, do it. Demonstrations. So let's say you're talking about, I know, right, in, I don't even remember if it's K2, 3, 5, where you're learning about your community, right? So maybe you do a map of the community and you talk about, here's the firehouse and here's the water plant and here's this. Have those people come in, firefighters do that all the time, right? They come in because they teach the kids stop, drop, and roll, and they talk about fire safety and all that. But have like someone from the water plant come and talk about what they do, and can they do a demonstration with water filtration, or grocery stores, like anything. Have them come in and show and talk to your kids. Yes, Brad just shared in the chat, if you haven't seen, skypeascientist.com. How cool is that? Yes, bring in people. Okay, parent engagement. Now I say this with the caveat that you need to train your parents too, right? Some parents don't have exposure to STEM. Some parents, like you just assume they don't know. So have a STEM class just for your parents where you're getting them involved in STEM. Hey, this is STEM. This is what it's about. This is what we're doing. Just anything, financial literacy. I mean, it could be anything you're helping the parents understand. So then they're taking that back home to the kids, right? They're reinforcing it at home. If they understand it, they will share it. So you need to make sure that what they're getting, the information they're getting, is stuff that you want shared. So have parent classes, or if you have some great parents that are engaged in the classroom all the time, then bring them in to share, or have them set up field trips for kids to go see what they do in the office or something, right? Engage them in some way. Research, have kids research. So maybe not so much K2, right? Unless you're going to do it together. There are some good career resources out there, but middle school kids, high school kids, maybe one day a week or one day a month, they look in the classifieds of the newspaper or online, Indeed.com, wherever, they find a job that sounds interesting. They research it. What's the pay like? What skills do you need? What background do you need? Do you need a trade school? Do you need to just have on-the-job experience? Like getting their mind going on what options are out there, and then having them share that with somebody else, right? Having them present it to the class, having them talk to a partner about it, okay? And finally, career fair. Okay, so I've seen this done both ways in schools. A student-led career fair where they've researched the job, right? And then they are like, what's that? Like the wax museum type situation, right? Where they're sitting there, they're dressed up, and as people walk by, they talk about the career that they have researched. And then also with the older kids, even middle school, business-led. Actually, let me take that back. You could do this K5 as well, because you could have businesses in the community come in, and they'll have to cater to your audience, right? High school, they're talking more of jobs and interviewing and whatnot, but K5, this is our business. This is what we do. This is where we are in the community. If they have things to give your kids, stickers, bookmarks, whatever, right? Kids love that. And then they're aware, oh, there's a water plant in our community and this is what they do. And I met this guy from there, you know, just making those connections for them, where otherwise they might be in the car and drive by the water plant all the time. I don't know why I'm stuck on water plants, but they might drive by it all the time and they never know because their parents don't point it out, or they've just never read the sign. Maybe, you know, there's all sorts of things. So try to take one of these ideas, if you don't already, and try to just incorporate it somehow to get them thinking about different careers, right? Okay, so this is one slide coming up. How does UBTECH Education support careers of the future? Let me preface this with, if you want to know more, I'm not going to go in depth about any of our stuff. If you want to know more about anything, you can reach out to me. You can email me, you can find me on social media, you can call us, whatever you need to do. I can go over curriculum with you. If you want to see examples of our curriculum, you can see samples on our website, but I'm just going to go through this quickly. So 5E lesson plan. So all of our curriculum is written on the 5E plan, where we do engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. And what we really try to focus on is student-led. So we engage the students some way, whether it's a story, whether it's an article, whether it's a video, whether it's the teacher having a discussion with the kids about a topic, whether it's a game. So you get them engaged, and then you have them explore that topic, usually pretty directed, like here are some websites you can look at, or here's a discussion I want you to have, or here's an activity I want you to do, right? Then having the kids explain back what they know. And then the elaborate is where they get to like really go out, whether it's a challenge or they research or they're creating new things. And then the evaluate is more so, did they understand the science concepts or programming concepts, computer science, whatever the focus was. And did they understand enough to move on, right? We don't want to just throw them through the unit. We want to make sure they're understanding the main points. So That's what we focus on. Higher level questioning, design thinking, design process. We talked about design thinking and processes in our very first webinar that was in June. So you're welcome to go back and watch that. But we incorporate the engineering design process into all of our units. Like I said earlier, when we were talking about critical thinking and those questions, the 9 behaviors, I already forgot 9 thinking behaviors maybe. We do a lot of that in our curriculum. So it's a lot of how could you evaluate this? What is this really what you're trying to test? Is this giving you the information you need? Having them really think it through as opposed to multiple choice, unfortunately. Philby is shared, by the way, in the chat if anyone has not seen it yet. It says our VOTEC school will come to our elementary to discuss their classes with students. How great is that? I didn't even think about that. So if you've got a community college in the area, if you have a trade school, VOTEC school, any of those, you could go ahead and have students come in, you could have teachers come in, they could talk about the programs and the things that they're doing. Fantastic, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, our curriculum also incorporates a lot of those job specific, oh my goodness, I need to quit reading and talking at the same time. Incorporation of those skills we talked about in that automation graphic with the 4, right? So personal skills, thinking, digital, and job specific. Job specific more so if they're going into robotics or programming, right? Because we're a robotics company. But also all of our units are focused on some sort of STEM focus, STEM concept. So we've got earth and space science. We've got a lot of physical science, obviously being a hands-on robot company, physical science is a big part of that. But there's a unit on golf and talking about the force and motion and gravity and all that. So if your kids are excited in sports and they want to be designers of golf clubs, or if they want to be a golfer, right? You could talk about job specific skills as you're in that unit. Okay, cross-curricular learning. We try, obviously we blend STEM together. We don't teach the science concept and then the tech concept and then, right, we have it all together. But also we will give you ideas for language arts. We will give you ideas for health. We will give you ideas for social science, geography, anything that ties back to it. We will give you an activity that we thought of that you could do in addition to what we already have. Everything is hands-on, team-based. Okay, even in the older grades, we say at least a minimum of 2 students. We try to keep 4. We give you job ideas that kids could have. Maybe they're the materials manager. Maybe they are the robotics specialist. Maybe they are the device specialist, right? Where they're the ones in charge of the tablet or the phone or whatever they're using, right? So we try to get hands-on in every lesson somehow, and everything is team-based so they can work on those skills. We focus on inquiry-based culminating challenges. So like I said, with the 5E lesson plans, we try to get the students to ask a lot of questions, and we ask a lot of questions of the students. There are a lot of discussions that take place. There's a lot of explain your thinking. There's a lot of, can you share this with others? There's a lot of, can you teach this to someone else? Does this, is this applicable? Is this great to share? Is it something you're like, it didn't really work, maybe I need to try again? But culminating challenges. So most of our guides have 4 lessons, some have 3, some have 5 or 6, but they're going to start with a small challenge where they can be super successful, and it's going to grow, right? By the end, they're doing usually a big design challenge where there's a lot of different aspects. They've got to break it down into a lot of smaller pieces. So they work up to that. They get all the skills they need in the lessons before, and then it's kind of more open-ended at the end. And then obviously, because we're a robotics company, our curriculum is focused on, we always use robotics in all of our units. Aside from the AI focused curriculum, that is a lot of free resources that are out there and a lot of hands-on with classroom materials you already have, such as paper and paper clips and cardboard tubes and those types of things, because we're trying to teach the basics of computer science and AI. So it's not tied to a product, it's the product itself. And then STEM, all of our robotics units are STEM focused. We tie back to the NGSS standards, which I know not everyone uses, sorry. They are at the end of the guide, so just in case you don't use those, but we do focus on physical science, earth and space, and life science as best we can. Okay, making sure that was the last one. All right. I haven't seen a lot of questions come in that I haven't answered as I went. Sorry, I'm really bad about answering them as I go. If you have more questions, please go ahead and send them in now. I'm going to skip ahead a slide or two to talk to you about our upcoming webinars. So take a moment. If you have any really good questions I haven't answered yet, get them in. So coming up September 14th, so I guess that's next week already, holy cow. Maker Maven is going to be hosting a Teaching STEM and Robotics using UBTECH's UKIT webinar So we will have a STEM teacher that has used our kits in the classroom share how they're doing that, how it's been working for them, what they like about it, maybe even what they don't like about it. I don't know what the PowerPoint looks like or the presentation yet, but what a great way to learn more about how we're doing things and what's going on in the classroom than to hear from a teacher. So if you're interested in that, that is linked in the resources as well under Maker Maven plus UBTECH webinar. And then we have our next webinar coming up next month, right? So Wednesday, October 13th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, getting comfortable with AI. So Rusty will be joining me, he'll be back. We'll be talking about the 5 big ideas of AI, which is what we focused on when we wrote the curriculum, and just some easy to implement activities. We'll give you some ideas of things you can do in the classroom, either utilizing UCode, some hands-on activities, some other free resources that can help give your students a good basic understanding of artificial intelligence. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to questions real quick. Do we have any questions that I haven't answered that you would like to know more about? I appreciate those that put in questions and things as we went. That's fantastic. I love when that happens. Oh, Luann posted that she looked into statistics in college because she loved the class. I was just thinking today, like if there were classes I took that I didn't need, and I took a stats class because somebody told me that I needed to, I guess. And then once I went to my second semester, they were like, oh, you're going to go into elementary teaching. You don't need any more math. And I was like, oh, okay, glad I took that class at 8 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, right? It was so much fun. All right. Are the graphics you use linked in the doc? Yes. Jim asked, okay, so everything I put in here, you guys, if it's not something I came up with myself, it is linked. So for example, let's see, if I'm looking at that resource right now, the 5 charts showing the jobs of the post-pandemic future, there are some of those infographics on there. Anything I pulled was from something that's linked in that resources. So if you didn't get the PDF or you didn't get the Google Doc link, let me know. Yes, everything's in there. There's also, you guys, I put in a lot of additional resources that I didn't have a chance to talk about because look at that, I'm already a minute over. But there are just some great things in there. There are some videos. So there's early learning STEM math is a 53-second, if I remember correctly, 53-second video on how you can incorporate STEM in K2 just in math, or maybe it was even pre-K. Like there are some awesome stuff out there. There are some school things out there, Crosby High School Career and Tech Education, so Crosby, Texas, ISD, elementary career conversation, development presentation from Colorado State. Like there are some good things out there, you guys, that can help you integrate careers and the discussion in STEM into your classrooms. Okay, I'm gonna go to this slide one more time because I just want, in case you need to get a hold of us or you need to find us, reminders, this is gonna be recorded, it will be sent out, and you'll get a survey link. So I haven't pushed this a lot in the other webinars because I just forget, but please send me your feedback, even if it's just telling me you hate the time change we did this time because we used to do these 2 hours earlier. So any sort of feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. If there's anything you need, you guys, anything that's for some reason not linked in that that resource, sorry, that PDF or the Google Doc, just find me, reach out to me. I appreciate you all coming today. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I hope it was okay listening to just me talk instead of also having Rusty here. I missed having him here. But thank you for being interactive and thank you for talking to me and letting me share what I found this week about STEM and careers, and hopefully all your kids are going to be fantastic little human beings that will be great citizens, right, when they come out of school. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Gail asked, will the PDF be sent with the recording? It will not. I will attach it one more time, so please download it from this chat. I will stay on here just a little bit longer so you can download it. Remember, the PDF is exactly the same as the Google Doc. So you're welcome to take that Google Doc and you can save it as a PDF, download it. I will link that as well real quick. So there is that. But yes, thank you guys so much. I'm here if you have any questions, if you need to jump off. We hope to see you next month. So thanks so much. Have a good day, you guys. You're welcome, Christy and Mike and Luann and Patty. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks, Brad. It's always great to have you. Oh, and I'm glad you found something you can share. That was my goal. I wanted something that you guys could take away, and even if it's just an idea or a thought or something you want to look into more. So hopefully this helped inspire you in some way. All right. Again, for those that are still here, I'm going to give you just another minute or two, and then I'm going to jump off. So if you need to access the link, download, whatever you're going to do, now is your chance. Or if you have any questions, you can also ask those as well. Good, fantastic. I'm so glad that you got everything you needed. We're going to stop sharing. Oh, fantastic, Luann. Yes, career fairs, great. Good, yay, I'm so happy. If there's anything else you need, I went down some rabbit holes with this stuff, right? So if you need some more stuff, you just let me know, because I'm sure I have something. But good, fantastic. Yes, career fairs for 6th grade. See, that's great. Like, we need to, the younger we can get them thinking about this stuff, better. And not even just deciding, right? Just exposure and having ideas that they want to do, you know, like, ah, it's fantastic. Good job. Thank you for doing that with your kids. Thanks, Luann, you as well. I need to go drink some water or something. I've been talking too long. Okay, for those still on here, I hope you had a great time. I'm signing off. I hope you have a great evening and a great rest of your week, and we hope to see you next month.